Okay, I thought I would, this is actually take three of this presentation that I'm doing for Freedom Under Natural Law, that I'm happy to be a presenter this year, February 21st and 22nd, 2026. My name's Catherine with a C, Waters with two T's, and I've been doing onegreatworknetwork.com since 2019, February, I believe, this month. The revolution.radio, Studio B every Wednesday, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And I call it the Family Industrial Complex. And I mean, I've done things before. Danny Schechter, the news dissector, back in 2010. I'm helping to produce book guests and co-host, and also awakeradio.us and peoplesinternetradio.com. But really, aside from that, I mean, I'm just gonna tell it like it is, which I have been pretty much criminalized. I've been like literally warning people for 5 decades, and they didn't take it seriously, and we're in a lot of trouble, saying it straight out. Um, Again, in light of, I'm trying to really, 30 minutes, I kind of more used to having 2-hour podcasts and stuff, but it's good that it's only 30 minutes because it's, just kind of stick to the meat of the issues. There's a lot really, but it's not complicated. I mean, that's what's so incredible to me. It's been so simple, simple math, simple health, simple accounting for over 50 years. And, you know, it's obvious after all these decades, how it's really incredible to me how the public allowed themselves to be deviated by a completely fraudulent man-made system, fraudulent man-made leaders, all these decades, uh, only getting worse and worse. And I mean, I focus on child abuse. I focused all my life on child abuse. I had no choice in, the early 70s. My healthy mind body spoke out about, my own child neglect, child abuse, call it even torture, that did not even occur just in the family system. It was literally everywhere, and I get the excuses. I've heard all the excuses for decades and decades about, why people couldn't do this and why people couldn't do that. But you know what? The laws of physics, the laws of nature don't care about excuses. This is, how I learned by myself all my life, is like how incredibly disconnected from reality, straight up denial of reality, the denial of the laws of nature, the denial of health, essentially, like how badly the people, working class people in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn in the 70s, 80s, even 90s, were just so blind, really. And I mean, I don't know if I should be thankful or not of the health attack, the abuse, the health assault that I was subjected to, that was so clear and unmistakable. And your body doesn't lie. my body, mind body, that I just call, it having a healthy immune response, to what was being done to it. I mean, in of course, in light of all the, this Epstein stuff that's coming out. I mean, people, this guy's been known about for years already. Um, I mean, to just see where this society has gotten to, and the amount, like, what's people need to be really, really worried that we live and have lived like this is I can't even believe, I can't even wrap my head around how severely, and like, I'm trying to, like, really drive home the reality, the math, and the accounting of everything that's going on, because it's the real cost, the real economy, is nature and health. And people have been completely hijacked by a completely fraudulent, illegitimate, fictitious, man-made system for so long. They've been so captive. Um, and if it wasn't for my healthy mind body that just really kicked into gear by having such a violent adverse response to the utter uh, attack of your health, mentally, physically, and spiritually, like just pummeling you into submission, making your body's mind body's healthy adverse responses, to their um abuse, mistreatment, and it was your health that was the pathology. It was your health, being a healthy child, mentally, physically, and spiritually, wanting so badly to realize yourself, having this built in, uh how do I say, schedule, uh spiritual force, needs built in, that you come into this world, looking for the cues, looking for, healthy grown-ups, healthy adults that are supposed to be there, responding accordingly, to the cues that you're putting out to the world. And time and time and time and time again, I mean, it became really conscious by the age of 6 in 1970, that my, I keep saying mind body, was conveying to the very sick adult child, people around me, that, hey, you got to do better by me than this. My health was really suffering by 1970. And I was conveying that, under no uncertain terms, to these people. And, when you're, like, living in a world where just becomes, like, so clear that it's about them at your expense, when it's supposed to be the other way around, and everybody around you is joining in. I mean, I have like, I will just continue to talk about myself and what I lived, because it's an ongoing crime to this day that people have tried to sweep under the rug, minimize. I mean, I tell you, man, I don't know. I can't even, like, wrap my head around the blowback that a lot of people in this country deserve. I have never blamed the powers that be in my life. I always, because the people around me, they're the ones that were doing it all. I mean, again, it's mind blowing that I am now, going on 57 years since 1970, living in a country. I mean, again, since Occupy Wall Street, 9/11, the bank bailout. Oh, okay, finally people are going to start exposing and pointing fingers at the government and banks and corporations and, uh, the John Perkins calls it a death economy. And I'm like, oh, yeah, finally people are going after the fraudulent leaders, that I've been criminalized and literally crucified and gaslit and made to uh feel like I was crazy for exposing. I mean, for decades, this system, decades, this system has been, you know, the youth, they're here to be sacrificed for the adult children. This is why there's so much child abuse. It's been the people doing the bidding, the micro of the macro, doing the bidding of the corporatocracy, the Illuminati. I mean, this is all factual. This is all factual. This is facts. This is math that, people all my life thought that they could just, you know, dismiss, that they could just dilute, water down, shut down, and bully into submission the young, kid that they're supposed to be, you know, grown-ups, they're supposed to be warriors for children. They're supposed to be like such warriors, like, I mean, fighting, courageous, people fighting like heck for their children, for their child's future, raising their child to their healthy potential. And instead, everybody made it normal to just be working class, to just get a job, uh, to be a low person on the totem pole all your life. And I was always just like that's wrong. Like this is like so dysfunctional, And so like even if my neighbors my age or cousins or whatever, kids growing up down, the next street were not being mistreated or health crippled as bad as I was, I knew that they still weren't being brought up really well and the way they deserved to reach their healthy potential, to reach their dreams, to just be the healthy and fit self-actualized person, that we should all be allowed to be. And so, so because what I went through was, like this abuse vaccine that like it started off uh as a like an abuse vaccination that just jolts your mind body and it springs into action, right, just like the body is supposed to when a germ, a bacteria, a foreign body enters. I mean, like that's why people get jabbed, right? It's supposed to be for fitness, right? It's supposed to jumpstart your mind body fitness. Well, like, are you kidding me? When all these earlier, since the 70s, there's a youth's healthy mind body, clearly, giving the feedback, having these healthy adverse responses to the toxic dysfunctional environment that you're trapped in, drowning in, choking on the fumes of. And what does everybody do? They all sided with the fraudulent, illegitimate people in authority and treated the kid, the healthy, fit kid, like, how dare you? How dare you, not let people abuse you and not like it? Like what was becoming clearer and clearer and clearer, the more time was going by the late 70s into the early 80s. When you're getting, your body is just having more and more like sharp responses to the uh completely sick. It's just getting sicker and sicker. The environment was just getting sicker and sicker over the years, the decade of the 70s into the 80s now, and so this is like, 15 years of torture by the mid 80s, where, now there's just one fraudulent leader in the, there. The other one is out, and it's just the two of us. And again, all they keep doing is, right, like, instead of taking the feedback, the blowback, the physics, that I'm giving them, and say, oh, thank you for making me aware and using the information. I mean, see, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's like, this is like mind blowing. Like, I'm saying all of this stuff like over 5 decades ago. And it's like grown people are saying it today. Diane Sayre, a non-affiliated, running for, a presidential candidate, Diane Sayre, who I just interviewed on Wednesday, wrote, let's make crazy crazy again. This is what is like pumping me with so much, like this is the kind of stuff I've been saying decades. I mean, and for grown adults to kind of just be sort of doing this stuff, figuring it out, when, hello, your kid, a child. I mean, we live in seriously, like a serious, like severely mentally ill, severe, severe mental illness. This is the, like, I can't even believe that people, like, haven't figured it out. So it's like, if you just do the math, if you just live in alignment with the laws of nature and health, I mean, it's like a no-brainer. You're supposed to cultivate children. The so-called grown-ups are supposed to be healthy and fit enough within themselves, mentally, physically, and spiritually, to be healthy enough to afford, whatever normal expressions and misbehaving and acting out that a healthy kid and teenager is going to do. And if that grown up isn't healthy and fit, and they themselves are an adult child with so much emotional baggage from their parents passing down their emotional baggage to them, then that adult child is going to get triggered. Their inner child is gonna get triggered by their own child, and then you're literally just gonna have like two kids, like, just going at it like that. And that's exactly what the ICE agents are out there. I mean, like, again, it really, really scares me to death today watching after all these decades, people that they didn't take mental health seriously after all these decades. And I've been studying mental health, mental, physical, spiritual, physical fitness. I did physical fitness since the late 70s, nonstop, reading books on the dysfunctional family, like, I mean, like, again, Diane Sayer, make crazy crazy again. So, I mean, read it. What is she saying by saying that? And Graham McQueen, I talk about one of my favorite interviews with Graham McQueen, the late great Graham McQueen did with Richard Gage on the eyewitnesses of the firefighters on 9/11, who all testified to hearing explosions before the planes hit. And I'm not here to talk about 9/11. I'm here to talk about facts. I'm here to talk about, Graham McQueen called the firefighters visceral witnesses. And listening to the Graham McQueen interview with Richard Gage is so easily translatable, to go from talking about 9/11 and firefighters to talking about the visceral witness children in dysfunctional and abusive, toxic uh, families and homes. That no matter how much the child, again, the people, oh, society's supposed to care so much about. And meanwhile, childhood has gotten fracked on top of fracked on top of fracked on top of fracked on top of polluted on top of desecrated. You know, I mean, I don't know. I call it regular child abuse that I've been talking about since the 70s, as opposed to now, I don't know, SRA, child sex trafficking, like, Epstein stuff, and like that we wouldn't be living today if there was not a such thing and people didn't normalize like regular child abuse. And I've been obsessed with health and fitness mentally, physically, and spiritually all my life because people have none. And if we, lived in a society where the bar is set where it's supposed to be set, where, children should not be mistreated or abused at all, instead of like, oh, how much can we screw up our kid without, destroying their health too bad, and then we wonder why, oh, the jab is mangling kids' health, or Epstein is mangling your kids' health. Gee, maybe it's because parents fail. Parents are, not the immune system that should have been protecting children decades ago, giving them, little bit injections, again, seeing, putting more weight on the mental, physical, and spiritual barbell of a child, gradually over their, healthy stages of development, thereby building someone over, the course of childhood and teenage, to become a healthy and fit, well-adjusted, person. And instead, childhood, it became so normal, to mangle the heck, for parents to just mangle the hell. Working class, all of this parenting has been absolute garbage. Garbage. Parents should be warriors. Parents and any other adults, aunts, uncles, neighbors, should have been warriors, fighters for their children, fitness, fit people, and instead it's like, you know, instead of fighting for their child, people are saying to me, oh, well, your parents can't treat you good, because nobody treated them good. I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? I mean, I knew by like the late 70s that people were like, I mean, trying to teach me to to bail out and literally fund my own abuse. No, that no matter how much I made the fraudulent authority aware of the harm that they were inflicting, they never had to apologize. They never had to admit any wrongdoing. They never had to acknowledge how much they deviated, and God forbid, they take steps, like getting more skilled, getting more masterful, getting more and more aligned, with hitting the target, with scoring the goal, like, duh, this is like, duh. And instead, people are like, you know, saying to the kid, like, how dare you function properly? How dare you give these fraudulent people, accurate feedback so they can improve, like the laws of physics do when you go hiking or roller skating or ice skating or riding a bicycle, and you lean too far this way or that way and you end up, falling on your ass. I mean, that's like, duh, the laws of freaking nature are giving you the answer so you can like integrate it and better yourself to become more masterful and skilled. And instead, it's this fraudulent, they bear down even more with their fraudulence, on their child, like, oh, might makes right, and you don't have any leverage or traction, so I'm just gonna, like, force the illegitimacy on you even harder. And it was just that endless cycle of doing that and living that way through the 70s, even harder into the 80s, and my body pushing back even harder, as a teenager. You're just inadvertently responding to what's coming at you, and no matter how much you're doing that, no matter how clear it is in the face of your, leaders, that they're creating and inflicting so much harm, they just continue doing it. And instead of, like the light bulb going off and being like a duh, like, what am I doing? The very math, physics, science, that facts and evidence that people are supposed to be aligning with, to become more skilled and proficient and masterful. When fraudulent people are in authority, they think that it's like possible to, move the goalpost. They think that it's like that the, like, your health is gonna forgive, like, that your health is gonna just like not be adversely affected, that your health isn't going further and further into deeper and deeper like levels of health deficiency in order to bail them out so they could continue, like being more and more illegitimate and more misaligned. And this is why I was obsessed with fitness. This is why I practice yoga. And we're living in the same exact thing on a mass scale with Epstein and Trump. And these people are so deviant. They are so unimaginably sick and deviant, thanks to what people did to me and other children all these decades. The people created these sick MFers. People love pointing fingers and, oh, these people are so sick. Oh, these people are so. Guess what? You enabled them. You did it. Your parents did it. This is so dysfunctional. I'm out of time. Thank you. Catherine with a C, Waters with two T's, onegreatworknetwork.com. Align with facts and evidence, exercise mentally, physically, and spiritually in alignment with the laws of nature, not illegitimate, fraudulent people in power. Thank you.